Hey everyone, it's the one and only magnificent bird, Beak, speaking to you today. And in today's video, I'm back at it with some more raiding with me, as the raid tournament has started up for this week. Plus, if we go to the milestone rewards, as you can see, we have the 9th anniversary presents that we have to go and get by doing the raids. And not only will I be raiding, but as I'm raiding, I'm going to be going over my thoughts on all of the matches that happened at AEW's All In. Now, when I went over my predictions, there was only 10 matches, but however, they added like 2 more matches, so it was about like 12 or 13 matches total, which they added 3 matches to the pre-show. So those pre-show matches I'm going to kind of go over very quickly, because the real meat and potatoes happened on the actual show. So before we get started, I hope all of you are doing good and staying safe out there. And if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed already, subscribe. And feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you want to share the video, that would be great too. If you do any of those 4 things, that would be very much appreciated by me. And like I said, I hope you guys are doing good, staying safe, and staying cool out there. Today was an absolute BICTH. It was very, very hot, at least here in Virginia. But I imagine in Florida, California, Arizona, it's like probably 10 times hotter. It felt like in the low 100s today. Which, you know, we're not out of the woods yet, but bring on the fall. Absolutely. I'm doing good and staying safe and staying cool the best I can. And yeah, I do got a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and get started. So, like I said, let me look through my notebook here. I got it wrote down here somewhere. Okay, so like I said, the pre-show matches, we're going to go over them quickly. So, all I will say about the pre-show is Tony Khan, he sure loves him some multi-man tag team matches, because one of the pre-show matches was a 16, not a 6-man, but a 16-man tag team match. And I don't even remember who won it or who was even all involved. So that's kind of just like whatever. I'm just going to skip that one because I don't really remember. I don't even, you know what? It was announced, but I don't even think I watched it. But anyway, let's move on to the next match. It was between Willow Nightingale, Ishii, facing Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway, and it's pretty simple. They only made that match for one reason, and one reason only. That way Stokely Hathaway would eat the pinfall or submission, and that's exactly what happened. Ishii, he tagged himself in, and Stokely Hathaway, he had to go in the match, and Ishii, he did a move on Stokely, and he pinned Stokely Hathaway for the 1-2-3. I mean, I kind of predicted that was going to happen when I was going through my predictions. I was like, yeah, the only reason that they're making this match is that way they can embarrass Stokely Hathaway, and that's exactly what happened. Next up, we have a 10-man tag team match, which I will say I did watch this one, and for what it was good for what it was. You had the team of Dustin Rhodes and the Von Erichs, Marshall Von Erich and Ross Von Erich, and Sammy Guevara and Shibata, going against the team of Bishop Khan, Toa Leone, Brian Cage, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett, and the team of Dustin Rhodes, the Von Erichs, Sammy Guevara, and Shibata ended up winning that one. Yeah, for what it wasn't bad. It was, it was good for what it was trying to do. It gave the Von Erichs a moment. It gave Dustin Rhodes a moment. Cool. Great. That's the pre-show. So now we are going to go on to the main show. And we're going to start off. Wow, we got to try that one again. Hold on. Nah, ain't no damn... Come on, really. Okay, we got to try that one again. Ain't no freaking way. This team shouldn't be beating that team shouldn't be beating a Lone Wolves team. Ain't no way. Okay, so let's start off with the London Ladders match for the AEW World Trios Championship. So, you have the team of the Patriarchy, which is Christian Cage, Nick Wayne, and Luchasaurus, defending the Trios Championships against the Bang Bang Gang, which is Juice Robinson and Austin and Colton Gunn, going up against the House of Black of Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews, and the fourth and final mystery team, which was an odd pairing, but this fourth mystery team, spoiler alert, they won the match. This mystery team contained the Bastard Pack, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta. So, the Bastard Pack, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta ended up winning the match, and they are the new AEW World Trios Champions. I was expecting the Bang Bang Gang to win, or the Patriarchy, but I sure as heck didn't think the mystery team was gonna win, but they did, and that's a odd pairing, but we'll see where that goes. We'll see. Next up, let me see, which match do I want to talk about? Let's go over the FTW Championship match between the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho, hi guys, defending against Hook. And, this is pretty much just, a no disqualification match. They can use weapons, they can beat the hell out of each other with weapons, all that good stuff. There was one point in the match where Chris Jericho, he brought in a bag, and when he dumped the bag out, he, when the contents of the bag was released, I thought it was a bag of apples. And with this Learning Tree gimmick, I would have been like, you know what, that would have made sense for this ridiculous gimmick, but no, it was actually a bag of cricket balls, and, it was a pretty entertaining match for the most part. Toward the end of the match, you have Big Bill coming out there. No, not Big Bill, but the Bad Apple, Brian Keefe. He was coming out there to try to interfere to help out Jericho, but this was a great moment for Taz because he's on commentary like he is like every week, and he's like, you know what, I'm getting too fed up and sick of this shit, this is enough, so Taz, he's like, you know what, if Jericho wants to cheat, you know what, we're gonna do it his way, and he takes off the headset, and he goes to actually attack Brian Keefe. That way, Brian Keefe can't interfere. And Taz, he got a nice little pop from the crowd when he did that. So good for Taz. Absolutely good for Taz. But, you know, there's been, like, stuff with Jericho and Taz where Taz, he's whined to the Young Bucks about Taz not being fair on commentary, and he's gotten Taz thrown off the commentary team multiple times, so that's like why he has a disdain, not, you know, and plus where he's feuding with his son Hook. But after Taz, he makes it a plain, even field. Hook puts Jericho in a submission move, and there you go. Hook is the new FTW champion. Tony Khan, you made the right decision. You corrected your mistake back in April. I would have never had Hook losing to Chris Jericho in the first place. I would have never had that happen. I mean, eventually, sure, you can have Hook lose, but to Chris Jericho, who doesn't need the FTW championship, which, you know, should they retire the FTW championship? I think they should eventually get rid of it anyway. It's not like an official recognized title. But yeah, there you go. Hook beat Chris Jericho by making him tap out. Next up, we're going to go over the Casino Gauntlet match. Now, I just wanted to make sure, because at the time of the predictions, I didn't know who was going to win it, but I wanted to make sure I wrote down all the participants. So, all of the participants in the Casino Gauntlet match where the winner receives an AEW World Title shot. We have Mark Briscoe, Hangman Adam Page, Evil Uno, Kyle O'Reilly, Freshly Squeezed Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, Okada, Nigel McGuinness, Zack Sabre Jr., Jeff Jarrett, Ricochet, that's right, who was in WWE, that Ricochet. Ricochet made his debut at All In during the Casino Gauntlet match. Then after Ricochet, you have Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. That's right, Luchasaurus and Christian Cage competed earlier. So, Nigel McGuinness, he is a commentator for the Collision shows. And when he came out, nobody expected him to be in the match. But when he came out, Nigel McGuinness, he got a huge pop from the crowd, which was, that was really good for him. Because, like, nobody expected him to be in the match. And overall, I think so far, this is probably the best Casino Gauntlet match I've seen. And, okay, I would have had Adam Page, Hangman Adam Page, I would have had him win it, but that's not what happened. And this is kind of a questionable booking decision on their part. So Christian Cage, he's one of the last two to come out, but then after Christian Cage, Luchasaurus is actually the last one to come out there, and it looks like Luchasaurus, it looks like he's about to choke slam Christian Cage and turn on him once and for all, but no, Luchasaurus choke slams Kyle O'Reilly, and Christian Cage pins Kyle O'Reilly for the 1, 2, 3, so Christian Cage has himself an AEW World Championship match in the future. Now, the only way this booking decision could make sense, I'm not a huge fan of it, but the only way they could salvage this booking decision is if Luchasaurus eventually cost Christian, if Luchasaurus cost Christian Cage the AEW World title and officially turns on him. That's the only way it makes sense, in my opinion, because, like, if they don't do that, what are they going to give Christian Cage the world title? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe that's what they're planning. So, I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, Christian Cage, even though he competed in the ladder match earlier in the night, despite losing the trios titles, he gets himself, thanks to Luchasaurus's help, he gets himself an AEW World title match in the future. But of course, Christian Cage, he's gonna take all the credit and say that he earned it by himself when that's not the case. But you know, that's why I'm loving the patriarchy, Christian Cage right now, because he's an arrogant heel. But man, he's entertaining. But him getting a world title shot, I don't know. That only makes sense if Luchasaurus finally has enough and actually turns on him to prevent him from winning the world title. That's the only way I could see it making any bit of sense. I would have gave it to Adam Page, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, the next match I want to talk about, let's see, we went over the ladder match, the FT Hook Jericho Casino Gauntlet. Okay. So, let's go over MJF and Will Ospreay for the AEW American Championship. Why not? We're not going in any particular order. So, no, we'll come back to that because there's another match that I want to talk about first. Let's talk about the AEW Women's World Championship match between Timeless Toni Storm and Mariah May. It was a very good match. This match was definitely the better of the two women's matches on the card. Some people might complain about it was a long match. Honestly, I didn't feel like it was long. Heck, they could have went for another 10 minutes, honestly, and I wouldn't have minded. And Mariah May is your new AEW Women's World Champion. There was a part in the match where Toni Storm, she has a chance to use the very same shoe on Mariah May's head to viciously beat her with it like Mariah did to Toni Storm. But Toni Storm, she hesitates. She can't bring herself to do it. But like, the referee is not knocked out. But even if she would have got disqualified and retained the title. And Mariah May, this is a very interesting parallel to the match. Mariah May actually got busted open in the match despite winning the match. Even though, I like that though. Mariah May started this with busting open Toni Storm, but Toni Storm finally manages to bust open Mariah May, but she still loses. A fantastic match. It was a hot match from start to finish. I mean, we'll get into the other women's championship match. This one was definitely better. And all I will say is Toni Storm and Mariah May match, that should have been the last women's match on the card. They put it on the card quite early, which I think was a big mistake. But the crowd was still hot for it. Absolutely. So, Mariah May, congratulations. Nobody else, I don't think, could have beaten Toni Storm, in my opinion. Okay, next up, we will get to, let me see. We'll go ahead and talk about the triple threat tag team match between the Young Bucks defending the AEW World Tag Team Championships against the Acclaimed of Max Caster and Anthony Bowen, facing also FTR of Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. Well, it was a pretty good match. So far there hasn't been like a disappointing match up to this point. I think there might be like one or two. Let's see. The Young Bucks retained by pinning Dax Harwood of FTR, which I gotta say, I was expecting there to be new tag team champions, but that is a prediction that I got wrong. I got wrong the winner of the ladder match, the Casino Gauntlet, but did anybody expect Christian Cage to win the Casino Gauntlet, nonetheless be in it? So, I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, the Young Bucks retained the tag team championships by pinning FTR, which, are they going to advance the, are they going to have FTR eventually win the tag team titles? I don't know. There's got to be a reason that the Acclaimed didn't get pinned. Although, after the match, you had these two guys, I believe they are called, I can't think of their names individually, but it seems like their team name is going to be the Young Grizzled Veterans. I'll be honest, I don't recognize either one of them, so they might be setting up something between the Young Bucks and the Young Grizzled Veterans potentially in the future, but we'll see. But you do possibly, maybe they do something with the Acclaimed. I don't know. But overall, besides the booking decision of the Young Bucks retaining, it was still a pretty entertaining match for the most part. Those three teams, they did a very good job. Those 9 men, they did it was an entertaining match for sure. Next up, we're finally going to talk about MJF. So, you have MJF facing Will Ospreay for the AEW American Championship. And I just got to say this, Will Ospreay, when he was, before he came out, during his entrance, before his entrance, AEW is cross-promoting with Ubisoft because apparently a new Assassin's Creed game is coming out apparently in November, which I'm sure the Assassin's Creed game is going to be garbage. I mean, more than likely it will. Assassin's Creed hasn't been the same since the Ezio Auditore trilogy anyway, so whatever. I mean, we'll see. It's probably going to be trash, I'm sure. But anyway, they had these performers come out there with these Assassin's Creed hoodies, and then they had they had a video package of Will Ospreay of him performing all around different wrestling companies, all mostly indie wrestling companies, stuff like that. And he came out with this Assassin's Creed inspired gear, which I thought was pretty cool, because his nickname is the Aerial Assassin, so it does fit in, and I really digged it, even though I'm sure the game is probably going to be garbage. I actually quite enjoyed that entrance of him coming out there with Assassin's Creed inspired gear on. I thought that was really cool. Personally, Will Ospreay gets in the ring. MJF, he comes out here. Oh, man. You have MJF. He comes out next. He comes out there dressed up as Uncle Sam with the tall pointy hat. And he even does the point with his finger like Uncle Sam does, oh, I want you on those posters. He even does that point, which is fucking great. It's great, man. He's really all for this quote unquote patriot act, or being a patriot hero and all this crap, even though he's insulting a large portion of America, and he's called Will Ospreay a red coat terrorist, and it's great. He's acting like this a patriot hero. He's got these red, white, and blue streamers coming down, and he's dressed up as Uncle Sam minus the white beard. It's like, come on, man. I mean, MJF with that patriot hero persona, he's having fun with it. You can tell he's having fun with it, and him being a heel is his natural element. I will say this match, in my opinion, wasn't quite as good as their first 60-minute match, but this was, up to this point, this was definitely match of the night, without a doubt. Absolutely. It was still very good. Both of them, I just don't think could have a bad match. And it didn't live up quite to the hype of the first match, because that first match, nobody expected it to be 60 minutes. That match was just a little bit better, but this was still a very good match. And this was, whoo boy, this was a match of the night up to this point. And then, we get to the match, we get to the end of the match, and Will Ospreay, he's thinking about and setting up MJF for the Tiger Driver 91 finisher that he's vowed to never use again because he hurt Bryan Danielson with it back in April. So he's vowed to never use it, but he's setting him up, but the referee's obstruction, he's down, and that's when MJF, he low blows Will Ospreay, and he goes to get this, it looks like a white pair of brass knucks, but it doesn't look like your traditional brass knucks, but it looks like white brass knucks, and he puts them on. He's about to use the brass knucks on Will Ospreay, only for this hooded figure to come out of nowhere, and he grabs MJF's arm to prevent him from using the brass knucks, and the figure, he punches MJF, and he takes the mask, hooded mask, off to reveal that it's Daniel Garcia to come back for a little bit of retribution for MJF trying to end his career when he first turned heel by brutally beating him down. And that's when Will Ospreay, he goes to set up MJF for the Tiger Driver 91, and he actually uses the Tiger Driver on MJF to pin him 1, 2, 3. Will Ospreay is your winner and the new American champion, although this is when Christopher Daniels comes out and he tells Christopher Daniels, no, I don't want the American championship. I want to bring back the international championship, and there you go. They have it ready on hand, and they've gotten rid of the American championship, and they brought back the international championship, that is something I said that was likely to happen. That I didn't think the American championship would be around too long. So there you go. MJF is no longer the international / American champion. And it looks like that MJF is going to pick up with his rivalry with Daniel Garcia for the meantime. And there you go. Will Ospreay is your international champion once again. Now here we go. Let's talk about this other women's match, which I'll be honest, this is where the Toni Storm and Mariah May title match should have placed. They should have switched Mercedes Moné's and Dr. Britt Baker's matches around. Mercedes Moné's and Britt Baker's title match, that should have been the first women's match, just because, I'll talk about it. You have Dr. Britt Baker come out there. She doesn't have like a special entrance or anything like that. Although she does have like a lot of fireworks. Great. Cool. She has a pretty standard entrance of her, like, you know, like she usually has, except it has a little bit more pyro, you know, a little bit more fireworks than normal. Then you have Mercedes Moné. This is good. Mercedes Moné, she's about to come out, but then all of a sudden, before her music hits, okay, so here comes the palace guards. You have palace guards. You have men dressed up as the palace guards coming out there pulling a carriage, a gold carriage, and they zoom in on the carriage and you see Mercedes Moné in the gold carriage with 3 corgis. And I get what they're trying to do here. Yeah, Mercedes Moné is trying to be the Queen of England, huh? Okay, sure. Anyway, you know, so she gets her special entrance, and one of the palace guards gets ready to try to open the door, but here comes Camilla pushing the palace guard out of the way and opens the door instead. Mercedes Moné comes out there. She's got how her hair is dyed and what she's wearing. She's got the colors of the United Kingdom flag. Great, you know. So, to be honest, this match, it was going to be very difficult to follow what MJF and Will Ospreay did just before this match, because both of them literally had a banger of a match. I mean, they took the winds out of the sails of the crowd in a good way, because that match was so hot between those two. The crowd was so much into it. This match, it's like the crowd went to sleep. And it's like they either left or they went to sleep or they died, because for most of it, you didn't hear a peep. Hardly. You could hear a pin drop. And I will say, to Mercedes Moné's credit, she absolutely carried this terrible match. It was mostly terrible. It seemed like Britt Baker, I don't know this for sure, but it seemed like Britt Baker, I don't know if she was injured or if she just acted like she didn't want to be in the match, but like, yeah, like Britt Baker, she had this like sort of I don't care attitude, right? Like she didn't want to be there, not really, and it seemed like Mercedes Moné's wrestling style was too fast for Britt Baker's style. And I gotta be honest, this is probably the only bad match on the card. Like, this women's match should have went on way before Timeless Toni Storm and Mariah May. Like, I will say, the last couple of minutes, it did pick up toward the last couple of minutes. The last couple of minutes was probably the best parts of the match. And there was a spot where Britt Baker, not Britt Baker, but Camille, she was on the apron, and she was trying to hit Britt Baker with one of the championship belts. And Britt Baker was able to take the championship belt away from her. Then she throws it back at Camilla, and she falls back on the mat to act like Camilla hit her with the championship belt, and the referee turns around and thinks that Camille hit Britt Baker with the championship belt. So he ejects her, and Camilla's got to go to the back, and you know, that's the start of when the match is picking up. And yeah, Mercedes Moné, she hits her finisher called I think it's called the Money Maker or the Monet Maker. I can't remember the name of it, but Mercedes Moné hits her finisher on Britt Baker, and she pins Britt Baker 1, 2, 3. She retains the championship, which, I mean, you know, this match definitely should have went on before Toni Storm and Mariah May, Mariah May and Toni Storm's match was the significantly better of the two matches. And honestly, even if you would have put Toni Storm and Mariah May's match after MJF and Will Ospreay, I don't think the crowd would have been dead. I don't think so. But that's what I would have done. Okay, so Mercedes Moné retains. Next up, we're going to talk about the coffin match for the TNT Championship between the TNT champion Jack Perry defending against Darby Allin. In this match, it was pretty quick. I mean, it wasn't bad, but I will say it was better than the last match for sure. But like, this match could have been a little bit more for sure. Let's see. There was a spot where, like I said, it was very quick. So there was a spot in the match where Jack Perry, he brought in a bag, and in the bag was shards of glass. Yeah, shards of glass. Oh, man. So, I mean, whether if it was real glass or fake or not, I don't know. For him to bring in glass, man, that's dangerous. I don't know, man. I don't know, I guess that chair shot he took back a month ago has affected him already. But yeah, he brought in a bag of sharded, like a little bag of sharded glass. Great. And then, you know, one of them gets dropped on it, and then they end the match. They're about to end the match. So Jack Perry, he gets two, I don't know if he has like these, like, they're not handcuffs, but he gets rope of some kind, and he ties Darby Allin's hands and feet together. And, you know, Darby Allin, he can't do anything. His hands and feet are tied together, so like he's screwed. So after his hands and feet are tied together, Darby Allin pushes Jack Perry pushes Darby Allin off stage, and he goes through two tables, and then, you know, he goes to get him, and he puts Darby Allin in the coffin. Well, first of all, he gets a body bag, and he puts Darby Allin in the body bag, then proceeds to put the body bag with Darby Allin in the coffin. But Darby Allin, he sets up despite being in the body bag, and that's when Jack Perry takes off and just rams Darby Allin with a running knee, and he falls back in the coffin. Jack Perry closes the lid. Jack Perry retains the TNT championship. Then that's when the Young Bucks come out there with gasoline and a lighter, and they open the coffin back up after the match. They open the body bag. Jack Perry dumps gasoline on Darby Allin, then puts him back in the body bag and closes the coffin. And they put gasoline on the casket or the coffin, and they're gonna set this mofo on fire in front of everybody. Jack Perry's got the lighter, and then next thing you know, the lights go off. Then you hear this entrance music, you hear Metallica playing, and the icon Sting has returned, and he comes out there, and the crowd pops huge for the return of Sting. I mean, come on, it's Sting. Who wouldn't? And that was probably like the highlight of that. I mean, the coffin match, it wasn't bad. It wasn't the worst match in my opinion, but like it could maybe be the second worst. I mean, but so yeah, Sting, he comes back, and he comes out there. He's got a baseball bat in hand. He gets in the ring. that's when Jack Perry and the Young Bucks are backing up. They're scared of a 60-year-old man, But hey, the crowd is into it. They're into it. So hey, they're popping for the return of Sting. He comes out there, baseball bat. He gets in the ring and he nails Jack Perry with the baseball. No, he nails Nicholas or Matthew Jackson. But Jack Perry, he takes a chair and swings Sting's back. But Sting, he no-sells it and just looking like, what's this fool thinking he is doing? And he turns around and he nails Jack Perry with the baseball bat. He goes out of the ring. Then he continues to beat up the Young Bucks. And he does a double scorpion death drop on both of the Young Bucks. And it was a great moment. He comes out there and rescues Darby Allin from being set on fire. It was a great moment. Kind of a disappointing match. I don't think it was the worst match of the night, but I mean it wasn't the best match either. Now, we got the main event. We have the AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland defending against Bryan Danielson. It's the final countdown, title versus career for the AEW World Championship. If Bryan Danielson doesn't win, this is going to be his last match. He's done. Well, Bryan Danielson, he actually wins. Yes, I'll be honest, I didn't see that happen. I didn't see that coming. I really didn't. I heavily expected Swerve Strickland to retain. And I gotta say, this is, aside from the MJF and Will Ospreay match, this is probably definitely in contention to be the match of the night, because you got the crowd. You got the crowd strongly behind Daniel Bryanson, and then you have Swerve Strickland, who is kind of the heel in this situation. But I mean, you have some people still cheering for him, doing the swerve dance in the crowd. So I mean, he's not like a fully committed heel, which Swerve Strickland, he is a tweener. He can go in between, being a face, being a heel. They wanted to make Swerve Strickland kind of heelish in this moment. And hang on, I gotta take a sip of this drink here. Okay. So, they both come out there. The crowd is, strongly behind Bryan Danielson. They want to see him win. And those two, Swerve Strickland and Bryan Danielson, they absolutely tear the house down. And, just like the same energy that the crowd had for Toni Storm and Mariah May and Will Ospreay and MJF, the crowd, that same energy returns for Swerve Strickland and Bryan Danielson. And they go back and forth. And you know what? About 10 years ago, Bryan Danielson, he climbs the top of the mountain once again, because I know 10 years ago he was involved in that WrestleMania triple threat match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship with Randy Orton and Batista, and Bryan Danielson, or Daniel Bryan, same person, but name is slightly different. So 10 years later, from that moment, he does it again. Bryan Danielson, he doesn't pin Swerve Strickland. Oh, no. He makes Swerve Strickland tap out in the middle of the ring. And oh man, when Swerve Strickland taps out, I mean, that crowd, it's like, if you would have been there, your eardrums would have probably been busted. That's how loud they were for this particular moment. Honestly, I gotta say, it was a great match. and it was a great emotional moment, but here's where I have a little bit of a problem with it. It could turn out to be alright. Like, will they kill Swerve Strickland's momentum? That's kind of what I'm afraid of what's gonna happen. Although, how long is Bryan Danielson's title reign gonna be, right? I can't imagine it's gonna be very long. I mean, how I would have booked the show, this is just, I would have had Hangman Adam Page, I would have had him win the Casino Gauntlet, and I would have had Swerve Strickland take the title. I would have had Swerve Strickland retain the title, but this was still a very good match, and hopefully, maybe I'll be wrong, and however long Bryan Danielson's title reign actually is, hopefully it'll be rememberable. I hope that's the case. I really do. I like Bryan Danielson. I'm not like a big fan of him. Like, I'm not saying that I don't like him, no. Like, he's not in my top 10 or anything like that, but no, I like him. It was a good moment for him, and, you have his wife, Brie Danielson, or Brie Bella, and then you had his two kids coming out there, along with, Wheeler Yuta, the Bastard Pack, and Claudio out there celebrating with him, and, yeah, it was a good moment, the crowd was happy, and it was match of the night. It absolutely was, for sure. And there were many moments that they had you thinking, oh boy, is Bryan Danielson actually going to lose this match? There was a couple of moments like, oh shit, maybe Swerve Strickland is going to retire Bryan Danielson, but nah, it was match of the night, easily. And what I think of the show overall, despite the one pretty bad match, I think this year's edition of All In was significantly better than last year's show. I think so. And then one more thing I wanted to mention. When I started watching AEW, this is when Jamie Hayter, I believe she was the AEW Women's World Champion at the time. And why I bring this up is Jamie Hayter, around the time I started watching it, it wasn't long after I started watching it, Jamie Hayter had gotten injured legitimately, and she had to lose the women's championship to Toni Storm. At the time, this is before she became Timeless Toni Storm. But Jamie Hayter made her return at All In. So I thought I'd mention that, and perhaps they go with Jamie Hayter and Mercedes Moné down the road for the TBS championship, because I don't know what they're going to do right now as far as Mercedes Moné and whoever her next challenger might be. Could they do Britt Baker and Mercedes Moné again? They could. But should they do it right now? I don't know. It depends on what they want to do. Now, I'm going to quickly talk about their next pay-per-view called All Out. There are 2 confirmed matches so far that I know of for sure. MJF is going to be facing Daniel Garcia, as Daniel Garcia, he wants revenge against MJF, trying to end his career. I can't blame the guy, but it potentially could be a pretty good match. Who do I think is going to win? I don't see MJF losing 2 pay-per-views in a row. Although if Daniel Garcia loses, I don't know. I'm not going to make a prediction on that yet, or I might not at all. Then the other confirmed match, which is... Okay, so this is why I think Swerve Strickland should have retained the world title, and this is why I think Adam Page should have won the Casino Gauntlet match, because there's going to be a steel cage match between Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland. Like I said, I would have had Swerve Strickland and Adam Page. I would have had them win their respective matches. That way, that match would have been for the world title. But I still expect that steel cage match to be very good. They are going to brutalize each other, absolutely. Now, will it reach the heights of their Texas death match a year ago? I mean, we'll have to wait and see, but it should still be a very entertaining match. It should be a very brutal match between those two, because Adam Page, he's been so busy of trying to get his hands on Swerve Strickland, and Swerve Strickland ain't gave one damn about Adam Page whatsoever, because Swerve Strickland has beaten Adam Page like 3 times already, so maybe they give Adam Page the win here. Although, they should give Swerve Strickland the win, because I feel like that would hurt his momentum, but maybe it wouldn't. But it should still be a very good match between those two. And I believe that's all I have to say about AEW. Man, I had a lot to say. Let's see. I think I'm gonna do these next 5 raids, and I'm gonna call it. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna do CRW this week. Assuming CRW is happening this week, because we have Labor Day weekend over here in the USA. So, if they have a CRW this weekend, I might consider doing a video. If they don't, I won't do any more RTS videos for the rest of this week. I will pick back up with them next week. So, they could have a CRW. They might not. I don't know. I guess I could look at the calendar, but who knows? I am at the point where on the anniversary roadmaps, I have decided I'm not picking up any more copies of Anniversary Sophia, just for a couple of reasons. Well, one is, if I do everything that I can, if I can get 100 tickets, I can be able to get one of the War of Champion weapons. And my logic thinking is, Anniversary Sophia is gonna be coming back around. The War of Champion weapons, they are not likely to come back around. And I think a lot of people, I know at least a couple people on Discord agree with me on that. Probably more than just a couple, but I can think of a couple that have said, yeah, I can totally see I can totally see where you're coming from. I mean, that makes, that makes sense. Plus, there's something I want to show you guys. I know I've just used another refill, but whatever. Hold on. I'll show you guys here in a minute. Okay, so let me find it here. Oh, come on. That gold rush is over. Like, why is there still an ad for it? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so here we have the Anniversary Sophia Level Up Challenge. Look at this. Now, you see this? Level up Anniversary Sophia to level 880. For those that don't know what that means is, Scopely wants you, as the player, to use captain trainers to level her up all the way. Are you serious? Like, I guarantee you a large portion of the player base is not going to do that. They're not going to use captain trainers on somebody like Anniversary Sophia, when in actuality they're not going to use her outside of the event. So let me see how many tickets I have right now. Let me see. So I have 97 tickets. Okay. I could easily get the other two, but I'm not doing it. I have 3 copies of her, and I'm up to the point where if I want to progress on the roadmap, I'm going to have to use her for a faction supporter. So someone in my faction, not naming names, they have all 5 copies of Sophia, so I can use that Sophia for as long as I can. And I would just rather get one of these weapons here. I don't know if it's going to be the Dragon Short Sword. Man, I can't talk. I've been talking a lot. So I don't know if it's going to be the Dragon Short Sword or the Dual Dragon Cannons. I'm going to try to get one of them. I'll only be able to get one of them, unfortunately, but they're unlikely to come back around. And plus, if I want the Anniversary Lucille, I can just get it from here, So, yeah,